and welcome to another episode of LOC On The Clock, the whistle-stop tour around the LOC. Joined again with the co-pilot of the train himself, Chris. How's it going, Chris?
Whistle stopping indeed. Yes, all good here. All good here. Looking forward to another, exciting week, I think, because if the first 3 weeks have been anything to go by, it has been exciting.
It has been very exciting indeed, and even more exciting is that the new training tops, completely unrelated to anything else. But is that the new training tops for Waypoint?
This is not. This is an old one. This was an old proof of concept.
Old proof of concept.
There are new ones coming, but yeah, for now, this is my football attire every week. But if you want to come and play for us, if you are somewhere out there, if you want to come and play for this club, then you can just get in touch with this podcast and make sure you know.
Yeah.
SO and PO postcodes mainly.
Mainly, yeah. But hey, if you're willing to travel, then by all means.
We're interested in anyone.
Should we get to the recaps? Let's do it. Let's go into the recaps. 3 games down, one more in September to go, and the marquee match of last week was an NFC South Bowl, pitting Pakistan against Tom's Tyrants. Tom's Tyrants were undefeated entering this one. We both picked Tom's Tyrants to win, Chris, but it went Pakistan's way to a very visually pleasing score, I find, 99-66. Probably not so pleasing for Tom, one would say. Not too much, I think, to write home about in this game. The couple of things I sort of noted is obviously losing Mike Evans for Pat isn't great. He obviously helped him out before he left in the game, got the W, and but Cam Scatterboo does look legit. I can't remember who it was who dropped Scatterboo. I think it was Freddie. Or Viv.
Yeah,
it
was.
So Pat does a very astute ad at the start of the season. It's paying dividends now. Anything else you want to add to this one, Chris?
Yeah, this is the difference between touchdowns and no touchdowns, really. I mean, you look on Tom's team, and skill position wise, it is bereft. The cupboard is bare.
Yeah.
Apart from Keenan Allen, and Keenan Allen is going to be a thing. But if no one else is a thing, then it doesn't matter. But yes, on the other side, you're right. It's the bottom heaviness of that Scatterboo, Dick and the Kicker, and the Chiefs D have got him across the line, as well as a handy additional 6 from Baker. But yeah, this is what we find. This is what I found last year as a Jordan Love owner. That Jordan Love will occasionally have games where he just goes for this kind of stat line, and it's very frustrating. Very frustrating indeed.
I mean, if you're a Packers fan, you're frustrated as well. How they managed to lose that game against Cleveland.
How they did that, I don't know. The Browns D did an unbelievable job of snatching a victory from the jaws of defeat on multiple occasions. But no, you would expect to see someone like Barkley, who maybe is the cornerstone of that team, go for bigger points. But there is a worry there that there is a dilution of talent on Tom's team. Whilst on the other side, Pats hasn't been great either, but there are some, particularly special teams and kicker, have bailed him out of the dirt.
Yeah, absolutely. So the history between these two now, 8-6 in favour of Pats. So Pat building up a small lead, and Tom picks up his first loss of the season. So they're both 2-1. I should say again, this was obviously a intra-divisional week. Inter-divisional week, playing across the divisions. We'll go to the next game then, which was Gridiron Gang against Makes Kitchens Great again. We both picked my team in this one, Chris, and we both absolutely smashed it. And I'm wheeling out the bicycle to just absolutely slice Ollie's head off as I defeated him to 142-56. My team kind of exploded, the highest score we've seen in the season so far. All on my team except John Johnson got over 10 points, whereas actually all but Jared Goff on the other side got above 10 points. Sorry, all but Jared Goff on the other side scored below 10 points. So yeah, that's a dichotomy of a game if I've ever seen one. Ollie also lost CeeDee Lamb in this one to a high ankle sprain. Brian Thomas continues to struggle as well, and Brock Bowers still does not look healthy, Chris. So a bit of a beat down here.
This team on life support, isn't it?
Yes.
Absolutely on in full terminal decline. I don't think we've seen a points differential between two teams such as these for a long time. I can't think of a near enough 90-point swing for a while. So this might be a one for the league historians. But yeah, it's a dreadful performance for Ollie, where nothing really went right. It's good that Crossy Merritt got a touchdown, otherwise it would have been deeply embarrassing.
Yeah.
Whilst for you, I think you keep on trucking. There's an awful lot to like there. I think those three running backs did a world of good this week, and you can see that there's going to be significant amount of usage going forward. It was a good D score, it was a good kicker score. Sutton got a good touchdown, and Lamar seems to be the real deal this year in terms of fantasy. The flyer of Juwan Johnson was maybe the only mark on this card.
Yep.
Having said that, there wasn't really a lot there to put in otherwise. So I think it was probably worth it, especially in such a win. So Congratulations.
And I put a super low stakes bet on over, I think it was 43 receiving yards for Juwan Johnson, so that came through. So nailed that. So
Hoofing. Done well.
We'll go to the next game then, which was bucking the trend against Bare Necessities. My dad it's coming. My dad was looking for his first win, didn't get it. Bucking the trend does get the win. We've got the music going. I'll come back to another jingle in a second, but the most decidedly mid-game all around, I think you could say, or one of them. There's another one coming up in a bit. What else did I know down about this game? We both picked Mike to win. You locked Mike actually, so I'll give you the lock jingle in a second. We'll just let the music, we'll let Mike's ears take it all in, as he just avoided the 80-point threshold. Mike has a problem with Dak losing CD, was what I noted down, but that's not the biggest takeaway from this game for us. It's the benching of David Montgomery, who scored 28 points on Sunday Night Football, and my dad could have played him over any of his running backs, and he would have won this one, and arguably probably should have played him over certainly Chase Brown. I think you could have made an argument probably to play him over any of the others, certainly Chase Brown though. I'll give you the log jingle now if you want to take it away.
Go for it. That's a disappointment of epic proportions. I actually think that Michael Pittman is a genuine fantasy starter now, especially with how Daniel Jones is playing.
Yep.
I don't think that's a problem. I don't think you should absolutely lock and load those dudes. I think we knew that the Bengals were going to get flattened this week. And Jalen Warren, I'm not a massive fan of that as well. But it is what it is. There's lots of routes to win in this game, but you'll feel that's definitely one that's been left out there. But as it was, again, we talk about touchdowns. There really aren't any outside of Murray and the Eagles D, which says it all, I'm afraid. Which says it all. You cannot win weeks without scoring touchdowns. And for Mike, yes, Prescott may have a problem with losing CD, but don't forget Mike does have that stack, and that stack can get a very juicy stack in the coming weeks. So I think you watch this space. It's absolutely right or die with the Cowboys. Fair play, got across the line in a pretty unsexy fashion. But as we see with Pickens and JSN, they got their TDs and they got them across the line, and that's the difference between 65 and 78, give or take.
Yep, pretty much it. History of this one, Mike is now, where is Mike on my sheet? You are up there, Mike. You were 6-3 against my dad, and I didn't cover off that to get with me against Ollie, which is now 9-3 in my favour, so that's moving on. My dad's still searching for his first win there, 0-3. We'll go to Forge Flyers against the Dream Team next, which I'm going to go ahead and get the buzzsaw out again for you, Chris, because you were undefeated entering this one, undefeated by more, which is understandable when your opponent, Viv, scored 127. You still had a decent enough day, a very decent enough day, in fact, a 93. But yeah, Viv has been resurgent. Jordan Mason becoming the bell cow, obviously, played a big role here as well. Yes, it was slightly propped up by the kicker and D score, but beyond that as well. But still, generally, a good week. I did lock your team, Chris, and you also picked yourself, so I get my first loss of the season. You picked up your first lock, by the way, I should have said, with blocking Mike as well, so good news there too. Frustrating one for your side, but equally, when your opponent goes off like that you can't really be too annoyed.
No, absolutely. So, as I keep saying, anyone who loses, as long as you score 85 points a week, all of your games throughout the course of the year, you will make the playoffs. You will just do it. It's fine. Either you'll get there in conventional fashion, or you'll get there on our points for wildcard space. We will get there. So happy with that. 93 points is a good score out of that. Again, bearing in mind that for me, really, Seahawks D scored 21, and the QB score was low. So I'm happy to have got there. If I was to sniff around 100, and for a long time I didn't think that was going to be the case. I was content with scoring 85. And I'm thrilled scoring 93. For Viv, he should be thrilled scoring 127, quite frankly. I think, it's a huge QB score, as we've seen. And as we always know, general rule of thumb, if you've got 2 QB scores on your team, you shouldn't lose. And that is what's happened here. 2.5 QB scores, plus borderline ones from McLaughlin and the Bucks D as well on the bottom. McLaughlin scoring 18 is a joke show. How does a kicker do that? So that's the difference. Is really 15 points for the kicker and 20 points for the QB. It's all very close otherwise, and that be the way it goes. So yeah, fair play, Viv. That's a very, very decent score. Having said that though, I'd be feeling pretty good about his prospects going forward. But I don't like McConkey and what's happening in Giants land, because they are wasting the talents of the league neighbours. Epic proportions.
Absolutely, we'll see what impact Jackson Dart can have
indeed
this week. But in the meantime, the Dream Team are now 11-7 all time against your team, Chris. We'll go to the next game then, which had a lot of intrigue actually. 0-2 bowl against Oakland Golden Bears and Ixan, but you'd be forgiven for thinking both these teams hadn't had a win yet with the scoreline 115-101 in favour of Oakland Golden Bears, and we were split on this one. Chris, I picked Freddie's team, you picked Ben, so I got it right on the pick. I'm going to give the buzzsaw because it's a good score, and just brutal loss really for Ben, especially when you look around the rest of the league. He would have beaten more than half of the rest of the league. But just unfortunate to happen to face Freddie, who obviously outpips him, so keeps him winless. Freddie picks up his first win though, and Freddie did it without Chase as well. Jamar Chase said he got 4 points, but it doesn't matter when Caleb Williams, which is a great stream by the way, puts up 37. The Najee Harris injury helps Myron Hampton get to 19 as well. Whereas on the other side, if this wasn't enough of a bitter pill to swallow for Ben, he also lost James Conner in this one, which again, just as we know, further hurts the onward prospects, similar to with my dad's team as well in a way. So, Ben is 0-3, possibly for the first time ever, Chris. Another one for the LOC historians.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and as we say, contrary to the rule as well, of 2 QB scored equals a win, it does not equal a win in this game. No. But you're right, because there were such depressed scores. From Connor and from Judy, really combining only for 5.5 points, give or take. I can see why there's not got across the line here. But if we think about this, the 23 points for May and the 37 points for Caleb, that's the difference between the two teams. It's that additional points for Caleb Williams, and again, if one of your QB scores double QB points, give or take, we call QB points 20 points, double QB points near enough 40, you get a win, especially with a healthy supporting cast there, Walker and Hampton. That'll be good to see. The fact that they've got one's got 2 touchdowns, one's got 1. Hampton's got plenty of usage there. That's elite usage for him. Hopefully they keep doing that, and you'd like to think, if we look back to the beginning of the season, that's what we expected the Chargers to look like.
Yeah.
So yeah, fair play, fair stream. We derided that one last week, going, well, what are you doing? Does he hate Bo Nix? And to be fair,
I mean, against the Cowboys defense, I think it was,
Yeah, I get it. So yeah, if he listened to us, then he'd have lost.
He would have, yeah. Actually, he would have, yeah.
Well done, Freddie.
Yeah.
That's a good result.
Yeah, absolutely. And Freddie is now 2-0 all time against Ben as well. And then we'll go to the last game of the week, which was at the time Blackpool Pirates against Great Scott. We both picked Great Scott in this one. We did get it right, Chris, but we shouldn't have, because had Ross heeded my advice of playing the Vikings D over the Bengals, who scored 38 to the Bengals 4, he would have absolutely won this one to a canter. That's my only comment on this game. We'll get the music going here as well, because Jeff was a point short of the threshold. So I'm very fortunate to get this win in many a way, but criminal really that Ross lost this one, Chris.
Agreed. I've never seen a higher D score in all of our time. I don't think I've ever seen higher than 38. Maybe the Patriots, that crazy year they had, might have scored 40 plus in the game.
Yeah.
But that's as rare as hen's teeth, isn't it? That is. So,
and you squandered it. Ross.
Yeah. That's about as much as I've got to say. Other than that, there's not a lot to write about for Ross. It would have been a very top and bottom win had it have been the case, but yeah, it's not to be. Whilst for Jeff, again, the lack of touchdowns and the skill positions is a common theme this week. It's happened, but he's got to come across the line somehow. And yeah, congratulations. That's almost as much as you could extract from that team in that week.
Yep. And you are now 3-1 against Ross, Jeff, and Jeff remains the only undefeated team, with you and Tom losing. So that's another little tidbit. In the pick'em, I was 4-2 on the week. You were 3-3, Chris. So that brings me to 10-8 for the season. You to 500 at 9-9 on the locks. I obviously dropped my first one, but you picked up your first one. So we're 2-1 and 1-2 respectively. There you go. Let's get to the league news. Didn't see. Yes, Jerron Johnson has got. Although he already went, and then I picked him up after Cup sucked on Thursday night, and then I had a look at the defenses for next week, and there's not really a lot of good options out there. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and grab one now because I'm not paying for one maybe. So Jerron Johnson is not that valuable. But speaking of defenses, the only thing I was going to call out was because there was no crazy money spent, and with the first additional fundage looming. You thought there would be, because there are a good number of teams who are virtually guaranteed into getting some level of money, just with obviously how the tier system works, but they are not going to get said benefit of money because they have not spent enough for it to go, because you can't go over 50 now. So, so I was quite surprised to see it being a low spending week, other than Viv spending $12 on the Chargers defense, and Viv currently is just actually. I think we do it on playoff seeding, so he is not in the additional money bucket. But if he were to lose or win, and depending on the point swing, he probably still would be. But $12 in the Chargers D, Chris. Anyway, as mentioned, next week is the first week of the additional funds, so I will obviously message about that once obviously the week's concluded, so we know who gets what. Standing stats and milestones. So we'll take a look at the Southampton division. So Tom no longer top, being the only undefeated team in that division. We have 3-2-1 teams, with Viv coming off his second win in a row, sinking first on points. Mike just behind, also coming off second win in a row, 15 points or so behind. And then Tom was not one of the highest scorers in one of the lower scoring, or the lower of the scoring divisions, but he sits about 30 points adrift of Mike now as well. The points did get better, I would say, for the Southampton division, albeit overall generally still lagging behind Portsmouth. Ross falls to 1-2. He's in fourth. Oakland Warriors improved to 1-2, but they're in fifth. Mike Kitchen's great again, fall to 1-2. So every team in that division 2-1, 1-2, so very close. Mike Kitchen's great again, the only team to not go above 200 points scored so far, so that's not so good. That is a good over 40 points, I think, short of the next closest. So yeah, that's an outlier if I've ever seen one. And points conceded, no team there is over 300 either. To be fair, there's only 2 teams who have conceded more than 300, so that's not entirely surprising. Bit of a gamut. We turn to the Portsmouth division. Jeff is the only undefeated team left, as I said. He's one of the 3 teams to score more than 300 points. All of those teams are in the Portsmouth division. And Gridiron Gang Fudflies, who are second and third respectively, are the next 2. I am the current highest scoring team at 354, which again is about 45 points or so clear of you and Jeff, who are very close. We then have Pakistan also at 2-1, so 4 teams with a winning record in the Portsmouth division. 4 teams with only 3 losses between them, in fact, if you want to put it that way. But the Portsmouth division also holds the 2 0-3 teams, who points-wise aren't too bad compared to the league average, and obviously have conceded a reasonable amount as well. But yeah, by both 3 teams, they're already up against it, you would say. And you mentioned sort of about make Kitchens great again, sort of already fading very early, Chris. This could be the earliest we ever get the cutlery out. It's not going to be this week, but I think with some of these teams, it's going to be quicker than you'd think it's going to be. In terms of where the playoffs sit today, obviously Great Scott would be the number 1 seed, and when the Portsmouth division get the bye, Dream Team sitting atop would get the other bye, being the division winner. We would then have myself and your team as the traditional wildcards, Chris. And then I think beyond that, the next closest team would be then Pakistan with the points forward, who's not already seeded. In terms of the breakdown, pretty much as you'd expect. The 3 Portsmouth division leading teams, mine, Jeff's and yours, Chris, are all at the top. Pat's in there for good measure too, who's the next one after that. The closest Southampton one is Viv's, who's basically just at 500, which is a fair bit short of Pat's the worst of our quadret, whatever you call it, 21 and 12. Then there's a lot in the middle there. You can see Ben has been extremely hard done by, to be fair, at 0-3. He's 16 and 17, so that is not representative of where his team is at. Not too dissimilar to my dad, but my dad's is a little bit behind Ben's at 11 and 22. Whereas we've obviously seen some other teams like Oakengold Bears just get their first win on 22. Tom, until last week, 10-23, was obviously leading the Southampton division with a 2-1 record. But 2-31 on the season, Chris. Make Kitchens great again. He has a win, by the way. So week 1 is when he got his win, and would have only beaten his opponent and one other. I won 11 since then, but not surprising, as I say, with the points under 200. We go to the coach score. Jeff's leading the way, so obviously he's maximising the points on the way to his 3-0. Pat's a 2-1 as well, obviously one of the better teams too there. Then we've got Mike and Viv keeping it fairly suppressed as well. Same for Ben. I've moved up in the world a bit, Chris. I'm now more towards mid-table after a good week last week. You're still slightly further down, but to be honest, it's fairly close in that regard. But yeah, we turn to the bottom here. Ross's team, I wonder where that 50 came from last week, Chris. Oh yeah, 34 of that's the Vikings defense, so deservedly moving way down in this metric. And my dad's team, who also had 37 points on the bench last week, which we saw was David Montgomery. Again, it would have made the difference. So, yeah, very directly seeing those the bench points, costing both those teams there. So that's it for that. Looking at the milestones, Coach Sherwood has entered the 100 career loss club. Congratulations, Ben.
Welcome.
With your 0-3 start. He is still the winningest team though. But interesting additional note to that, he is the first non-founding team to reach 100 career losses. Ross technically classes as a founding team, albeit he obviously left and came back. So in terms of seasons played against losses, Ross is the quickest to 100 losses, if you want to put it that way. But officially the first non-founding team to get to 100 losses. So there you go, Ben. Check out the Copilot trademark power rankings. They're good fun. I will promise I will correct them next week, Ben, if they say Burrow is a strength of your team again, because yeah, it's just getting silly at this point. I didn't mind last week because it was coming off the injury. That was fine, but for it to do it again, it's silly. Trade block, obviously let me know if there's anyone on your team you want to trade. We'll put on the trade block, I should say, and we can announce it here. As remains for my team, Dobbins, Coleman, Golden, Tootin, Ferguson, and Pollard are on the trade block. So talk to me if you would want any of those players. We will mosey on to the previews now. So let's cue up the music. Week 4, so as I said at the top of the show, last one of September, so we're already hurtling into October. The Wembley games start next week as well. Sorry, the London games start next week. We've got the Dublin game this week as well, so just to watch out. If you have any Steelers or Vikings, they are in the early kickoff. Is it back to an intra-divisional week, Chris? So we're facing off in the divisions, with the Southampton division being quite tight. That's got some intrigue. To be honest, for all divisions being quite tight, it's quite a bit of intrigue, and there is one very interesting game on the docket as well, but I'll run down them now. We have Gridiron Gang against Forge Flyers, which is, of course, the Podcast Bowl and the Founder Bowl, two of the highest scoring teams so far. We have Tom's Tyrants against the Dream Team, which is technically a tussle for the top, because one of those is guaranteed to be 3-1 and has a good shout of being the leader come the end of the week. There's also a Corona Bowl 6 rematch. We've got Make Kitchens Great again against Bucking the Trend. Wensleydale Owls, which is Ross's new team, against Oakland Golden Bears. So that's 2-1, two teams fighting to keep up. We've got Ixan against Bare Necessities, which is an 0-3 bowl. There will be one guaranteed 0-4 team after this week, and it will be one of them. And we have Great Scott against Patterstown, which is again another interesting Portsmouth division battle. Jeff still undefeated. Pat could overtake him with a win and a bit of a point swing. If he wins, there's also a Florida Bowl, because they both support Florida teams. Chris, I feel like it's a juicy week. What way are you going to go for the marquee matchup?
Yeah, absolutely is. Now, I think there's only one that you can really go for, because, it comes around very few and far between. And I think when you do it, you got to do it. So, this week's marquee matchup is the Podcast Bowl.
Oh,
it is.
There we go.
Forge Flyers versus Gridiron Gang.
I mean, I can't remember the schedule, because we don't have a guaranteed linear schedule now where, we play every divisional opponent multiple times. We can have a quick look here. Do we play each other again this season? We don't. Yeah, this is the only one we've got against each other in the division this year. So, correct statement indeed. So, let's take a look at it then. So, our teams facing off in the Podcast Bowl, the Founder Bowl. Potentially one of us could be leading the division after the week's bowl, depending what happens in that Great Scott Patterstown game. You have opened up an early lead, Chris, 17-0, courtesy of the Seahawks defense. That gives you the projected lead, win now, 101 to 96. If we take a look down the lineup, Booker comes back into the lineup for Terry McLaurin for you, who was injured and will not play with the quad injury this week. You are unchanged beyond that, so you are going still with the 30 personnel. On my side, I have brought Jake Ferguson as my latest tight end in from the waiver wire in favour of Juwan Johnson, and beyond that, I am unchanged as well, so that's 31 personnel again for me, albeit I may, depending how the game goes, because that is the Sunday Night Football game, Packers against the Cowboys, I could flip it to Matthew Golden if I want to go with the upside play. We'll see. That's my breakdown. The history of this one all time, Chris. I am... you are 13-12 against me, I should say. So a close matchup overall. Who's taking it this time around, Chris?
That's why I think that every time we play this, it's very close. We have similar sort of strategies this year.
Yeah.
In terms of personnel, I think we have a similar type of production, albeit you have 50 points more as a result of your massive win last week.
Yeah.
But the reason why I'm interested in this game is because I think in key areas there's going to be you have some serious opportunity to score. I mean, you look at those matchups that you've got for your 3 running backs. You would expect an awful lot of offense in that game. Look at Denver versus Cincy, rollover. Buffalo versus New Orleans at home, rollover. Detroit at home versus Cleveland, rollover. It's just gonna happen. You couple that with Ferguson at home against Green Bay, who, to be fair to him, gets plenty of looks now and should do.
Yep.
Now that he's going to be a bit more a piece in that offense.
Yep.
And Lamar, who is an absolutely torching defenses from the start of the season to now. So I see no reason why that would be any different against KC in prime time. I just think that game has got points written all over it for everyone who's involved.
Take the over if you're a betting person.
Absolutely. Steelers D against Vikings as well. Got to see it. That's the London game, isn't it?
Dublin game.
Dublin game, sorry.
Yep.
Yes. was once part of the UK. They were not saying that.
That may be one of the most controversial things you've said on this podcast. Actually, technically that was just factual and historical, but we'll bring up some...
Beyond the pale is a bit different. So it's something to look out for at least tomorrow. So I think you've got a great chance. And I think objectively, if you look at that team, you think, well, there's points there, there's usage there, there's touchdowns there, there's offense. I think that to me is just a quite obvious high points yield for you.
Yep.
And then for me, I'm really happy with how my team is this year. But there's no doubt that the matchups are a lot more challenging. It helps we've got that 17 points already.
Yep.
But when you come to Bijan, Etienne, and Javonte against those three defenses, I think again against Green Bay it's going to be a difficult one. It's uphill sledding, and again against San Fran as well, especially on the West Coast. Ibuka and Brown in the same game, and I like the fact that they're trending. I like the fact that Ibuka will be the number one, and I like Brown's usage last week. And Mahomes should have a better scoring week against Baltimore in what's going to be a high-powered game. But there's absolutely no doubt about it. Your matchup's significantly better, and that's why I'm going to go with you. I think again I'm looking for 90 points just to keep myself rolling. But it could get very ugly very quickly with some of those matchups on your side.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, on the fantasy app where it's obviously color-coded, there's a lot of green there for me this week, like you've correctly picked up on. The only one that isn't necessarily the best matchup is Gibbs against Cleveland, because they have shut down running backs, but Gibbs is still quite involved in the pass game. Hasn't been terribly efficient, I would add. But like you say, if they're going to drop points, and this is at home in Detroit, which again I think is a big thing for that game. If it was Detroit going to Cleveland, it would be very different. But I think you're right. Being in Detroit, makes it tougher. Not sure. I don't love the Steelers streaming against Minnesota. Obviously, Minnesota absolutely caked the Bengals last week, but to be honest, most teams would do that. So let's see Carson Wentz actually do it against a real NFL defense at this point. You're pretty much right, Fields. I mean, you've got a really good team yourself, like you say. It's really good players. It's just not as good matchups. It'll be interesting to see, particularly I think how Javonte and Etienne do. If they can do well, I think you can win this one. But those certainly the two I would highlight where it may be a challenge for them. Less so for Etienne because they've lost Bosa now. Tough run defenses there. Ibuka will be interesting to see. He is the top dog. I almost wonder if this would have been better for him if Mike Evans didn't get injured, because again the Eagles D is pretty good. They've got pretty good corners, to be fair, on both sides. So the Bucks are a little bit banged up, but he has been really good to start the season. You'll have to see it. And Mahomes obviously let you down a bit last week. Sorry. What version are we going to see this week? Like you said, it should be a points fest. The Baltimore defense is a bit of a run funnel. They're very beat up on their defensive line at the moment, but the Chiefs have not had a functional run game. So what's that phrase? The opposite of that phrase: stoppable force meet movable object, I think is So that's one of those. So the pass defense is better for Baltimore, but we'll see. I'm going to pick my team as well, like you said, just on these matchups. But equally, certainly with the good start you've had. Wouldn't surprise me if it would go the other way as well. And even if you do lose Chris, if Pat beats Jeff, you're still only one game behind in the division, so still very much all to play for.
Keep points.
Yep, absolutely. Injury-wise, McLaurin's out. Hill, he's missed practice there, so with personal reasons, but you're not playing him anyway, but he should play. Tootin, off the injury report, still continuing to grapple with the shoulder issue, but not listed at least, and that is it. We'll go to the next game then. Which is the Corona Bowl 6 rematch. Could be a battle for the first place in the Southampton division come the end of the week. Tom's Tyrants against the Dream Team, both 2-1. Projections have this going 90-85. Tom is actually in America at the moment. Another little addition. He will be at the Falcons game, so he will get to see Drake London, who is currently not in his lineup, play for their eyes. But he does have the Falcons team. I'm sure he'll flip that. Probably like Robinson before the game starts. But lineup-wise, I don't think Tom has made any changes at the moment, but they are probably coming, so he is going with the 30 personnel, whilst Viv on the other side, he is still going with the 10 personnel as well himself. running back and 4 wide receivers, spreading it out unchanged. Also, obviously, other than the defense, but we don't really comment on that too much. The history of this one all time, Tom's Tyrants is 12-7 against the Dream Team, so a bit of an edge there. Obviously, Viv coming for a very good week, and one, in fact, where he nearly doubled Tom the score. Don't think that's going to happen this week, Chris, but could Tom potentially win this one?
Yes, but it would take a lot, I think. And we've seen a serious improvement from Viv's team last week, and clearly we saw, I think, what's probably its ceiling in one form or another. So there can only really be regression this week. And, you know, when we see, I'm not sure how banged up Devontae is, but presumably it's just...
Yeah, I can add some context to that. So he has been missing practice this week with a hamstring injury. I'm not sure if he did actually even return to practice. If he did, at most, it would have been limited. So McVay sounds like he's pretty confident he's going to play, but yeah, I would put him at very questionable at this point.
Yeah, so that's challenging. Neighbours is a challenging scenario. We don't know really what it's going to look like there QB wise, and I wouldn't want to go and play the Chargers as my first game. That's for certain. And Nico's been misfiring with CJ Stroud, so there's a lot of question marks over that receiver room. Plus, I love McConkey as well, who, yeah, I mean, it's going to happen. It's going to happen in this game, but yeah. The question mark still remains. Jordan Mason against Pittsburgh, that'll be a challenge. And then generally against Tampa, I think that will be okay, as the Chargers D will. But again, is that enough to get across the line? That's the thing for me. What's on the other side is Tom's team is very meh to me. Is that, you know, some weeks it will look competitive, other weeks it just won't, and there's quite a lot of depressed scores in there because there are a lot of offenses that are just are quite brittle offenses for me. You know, you look there at, you know, something like Chicago's run game, and I'll say Swift is not someone you want necessarily to hang your hat on. Same with the Miami offense. If you're going to bring players in from his bench and looks like he has some depth, yeah, you might want to bring in Drake London this week. You might want to bring in Ricky Pearsall if he's fit. You might even want to bring in Daniel Jones.
Yep, possibly. Well, I mean, Jordan Love is playing the Cowboys, so that on paper seems
I get that, but you know, and I keep coming back to it. As a Jordan Love owner, you expect a lot and you receive quite a little in fancy perspective a lot of the time. I think for me, you know, if Viv needs to bring out Devontae, who was a linchpin to that last week, and puts in someone like, I suppose it has to be Calvin Ridley.
Doesn't fill me with confidence going against Stinson.
No, exactly that. So for me, I don't think it's going to be enough. I think I'm going to go with Tom, but on the proviso that it's going to be pretty close, and we won't see crazy scoring like we saw last week for Viv.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm picking Tom this week as well, which feels weird given the scorelines last week and sort of, like you said, where these teams have been trending. But I think even independent of the Adams thing, just similar to our matchup, it just looks like it sort of shapes up a bit better for Tom this week, I think, with the matchups and things. I mean, Hurt should still have a good day, but beyond that, probably Mason will do okay. But beyond that, on Viv's team, it's anyone's guess what point totals any of those players are going to have. He truly is probably one of the lowest floor and highest ceiling teams in the league, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Whereas Tom's team, this particular week, I'm assuming, yeah, either Pearsall or almost certainly Drake's going to come in for Wandell. I don't know if he'll make any other changes. I don't think he will, because I kind of like the makeup of the rest of it. Keenan Allen has been probably one of the picks of the draft, I think, is to be fair.
Yeah.
Tom was certainly where he got him. Saquon's been a bit muted, but could certainly be a better day in this one. You know, I agree with you. Swift's he's not been great so far. He's been getting a lot of work. He's been a bit banged up. But, you know, that Chicago-Vegas game could again be another absolute points fest. So, where that's the case, you know, his floor is obviously fairly good, you would hope. And Achane should do well against the Jets as well, I think. He's got the Falcons against Washington, who was starting Marcus Mariota. It's a bit of a revenge game. Not too necessarily hot on that one, but obviously he'll be there, as I said. And sometimes you just have to go with the storylines, like with revenge games and stuff like that. Tom is in America at the moment. He's going to be watching the Falcons in front of his game. I firmly believe stuff like that makes an impact sometimes. Tom will win this game based on that, so I'm picking Tom as well. We'll go to the next game then, which stays in the Southampton division. Mate Kitchen's great again. It's bucking the trend, as we saw. Mate Kitchen's great again, looking to get back on the win bus after 2 losses. Just looking to pick up some points, to be honest. And Mike's team sitting at 2-1 at the moment, vying for potentially could be the leader at the end of the week. He has a 9-0 lead at the moment, courtesy of Jackson Smith and Jigba. Projected score as well, 96-80. That's an extremely low prediction for Ollie's team, and I think bewilderingly that's with a full starting lineup as well. It's a very low projection for a full healthy starting lineup. In terms of lineup changes, let's see here. I think Mike is going with an unchanged side at the moment. Yep, 30 personnel. For Mick Kitchen's great again. Jayden Waddle comes into the starting lineup over CD Lamb. I believe that is the only change. So he's going with the 11 personnel. Running back, a tight end, and 3 receivers. History of this one all time. Bucking the trend is... where is Ollie's tip? 4-2 against Ollie all time. I mean, I hate to say it, at what point does playing Ollie's team almost just become a buy? It sounds entirely negative.
Oh, I don't think it's as much as that this week. And the only reason why I say that is because, you still have Goff at home, and when we see him play at home, he's a very different beast to when he's away.
Yeah.
And, we've seen the last time that he played at home, there was some serious points on offer.
Yeah.
So I think that's something you can definitely hang your hat off. Similarly, I think going full Bills against New Orleans is fair.
Yeah, right.
I'd absolutely rate that. So you'd expect to see, let's say 40. You can score 45 points between pray to the Bills D and Goff.
Minimum.
I think that's probably fair enough, and that gives you a foundation in which to build. As you said, I don't think that I don't think Bauer had a bad day against Chicago. I think that Waddle might have a better day against the Jets, and Brian Thomas has got to kick on somewhere. So if this all comes together in the same week, I think that there could be a better score here. But I think 80 points would represent quite a good improvement on where it's been. It's not been great,
Sure.
But hopefully Goff start turbocharging that. For Mike's team, he's got a sneaky, interesting team because that stack is now very useful. In the sense that I think a lot of stuff's been going Pickens' way. Do I like that against the Green Bay defense, especially with all the surrounding talk about Parsons coming back and things like this? No, I don't, because I think that's the ultimate revenge game, and I think that's one that's going to get quite messy for the Cowboys. So I think expect a bit of a depressed score on that. But the 3 running backs I've got no issues with. Absolutely none, and I think that they'll be again. All of them will be asked to contribute an awful lot. It just sucks that it's Monday 1:20 a.m. for us and Tuesday 12:15, bloody Monday Night Football, and the late game on Sunday. So
it's going to be a very delayed week for Mike.
Yeah.
Week.
So we'll know. It's going to be like Waddle versus Hall on Monday night, but yeah. I don't think you can go for Ollie's team necessarily, but I think that there might be a flyer here, in the sense that this game will be closer than we think. There's only 9 points for JSN, so it's nothing crazy. Those 3 running backs are great. There's too many question marks for me at the moment over Ollie's skill positions to go and back him, but I wouldn't be surprised if as I said, Goff, Bills D, and either Prater or Bowers or one of the two cements him this week to actually get a better result than what we've seen recently. So
Sure.
Mike just.
Yeah, I'm going Mike as well. On Bowers, until we're fully sure he's fully healthy, because he's not being listed or stuff, but he is not fully recovered from that knee injury that he suffered in week 1. It's quite clear. Until we see that, I just can't see him putting up good or really good games, to be quite honest. Sticking on Ollie's side, Tedero McMillan, he's been really good so far. Patriots are getting Christian Gonzalez back this week, though, so he's a pretty good corner. With Brian Thomas, I'm at the point now, I've got to see it before I think he's going to actually, have a good game as well, because again, he's just, like you said, one of these bad guys. yeah, it's just unfortunate for you because on paper, some of the guys, on paper the team is good, well not bad, but it's just not happening. Even a guy like Jankowski Merritt, like he in theory should be really good, but just the way that the Commanders are obviously deploying the running backs and the way they're running the offense is just not happening. So. You're right, though. I mean, if Mike had some different matchups, it's no question Mike, and I'd probably be locking Mike here. It's just where it is at the moment. Like you said, Prescott and Pickens against Green Bay. I wouldn't be too surprised if Mike went another quarterback. I kind of get why you'd stick with it, because if you're looking game script, he's going to have to pass and stuff. But, yeah, I don't know. And I worry with Dak that... Obviously, yes, okay, it's good that he's got the stack with now who is the top receiver in Dallas, but you know, from a Pickens perspective, arrow up being the number one receiver while it lambs out, but from a Dak one, it's almost arrow down a bit because he's obviously got less weapons in his arsenal. His most elite weapon is obviously gone. That brings down his ceiling, I think, in my eyes. But yeah, the game script could still help him. Jacobs against the Dallas is nice. Breece Hall, yeah, it's hard to know with the Jets at the moment. They obviously had that really good week one against the Steelers, but then since then it's not been particularly brilliant. They had a competitive game against the Bucks. I said it was competitive. They were losing big in that game, and they managed to bring it back. So who knows? And then Irving against the Eagles. We'll see what that one goes. Yeah, I'm going with Mike as well. But I agree with you. This could be a sneaky lower scoring game, tight game. Injury wise, so yeah, Lamb was obviously out with that high ankle sprain. Beyond that, Jankowski Merritt, he missed some time this week with a knee injury, but I think he's going to play. McMillan, a calf injury, but he's going to play too. Don't think I did the injuries in the other game, so I'll just dovetail back. Adams, we talked about the hamstring, very iffy. Swift, he should be playing, he's just a bit banged up. Godwin should make his return as well this week, so that's good to see. Pearsall, a bit of a knee injury. Sounds questionable, but I think he probably will end up playing. We'll go to the next game then, which is Wensleydale Owls against Oakland Golden Bears. Very animal-coded game, seemingly this one. 11-0 in favour of Freddie's side at the moment. Both these teams 1-2 looking to keep up, but the projected win does go to Ross, 88 to 83. Looking at the lineups, oh, look at that, Chris. The Vikings D has mysteriously appeared in the starting lineup. I can't believe he still has the Bengals D on his roster. But they are in. In terms of other lineup changes, none for Ross, so he's going with the 11 personnel. 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 wide receivers, 4 Oakland Golden Bears. I believe he is unchanged. There's 11 points courtesy of Kenneth Walker, by the way, so he's going 30 personnel. The history of this one all-time, Freddie is 0-2 against Ross's teams, so searching for the first win. Will he get it, Chris?
No. So I think for Freddie, I think this is a challenge. This is a challenging game because you look at what's there and what's been, and what you can replicate. So for me, Chase this week is a non-factor straight away. At Denver, that QB, that defense, Patrick Surtain, have it. Just forget about it. He's just going to get eliminated. And once you've got rid of your first round pick, then you look down. Devonta Smith has serious question marks. Pacheco has serious question marks, especially in that game. Hampton, I think, will get plenty of carries. So yeah, that's one of the offense. Place to have opportunity to score. Packers is an interesting one for me because we keep saying, Dallas could suck. What if they don't? What if Dallas don't suck? What if Dallas are good? What if Dallas just run all?
I don't think that the Dallas Cowboys are that bad of a team. They're obviously not certainly one of the best, but the games they've played so far, they're at least average at best.
They've got bits, and and then Caleb. Well, is he the real deal? Is he the real deal now? Can he do it away from home in Vegas? Kind of Sunday afternoon. Carry on week to week. He's a good streamer, but man, I don't know if I could rely on that. Wasn't this like, you've got guys who are going to be safe as houses. Allen's safe as houses this week. Garrett Wilson probably very safe. Derrick Henry very safe. Zay Flowers very safe. Vikings D extremely safe. I'm expecting to see a not particularly significant stat line for Ross's team, but probably enough especially with QBs, to get him across the line. So I just think that Freddie's team is so. Let's go. This is a battle of boom and bust. This is it. Yeah. This is a battle of boom and bust. It's who's going to boom. And I think Ross is more likely to some of those guys in those matchups in those games, rather than Freddie. I hate to say, sauce man.
I'm actually going to go the other way. I'm going to pick Freddie again. So, which two wins in a row. I'm guessing for Freddie. I kind of like Caleb against the Vegas defense. I think fantasy-wise, Caleb's been good so far, and the Raiders' defense is not good, so I don't see why that's going to change. It's in a dome. You're right to highlight Chet. I mean, he had a torrid week last week, but he's still an alpha receiver. We saw in week 2 what he can do. Browning obviously had an awful day as well. Denver defense sneakily hasn't been that good. They've been scored on.
I love Denver at home all the time. They just.
I think I'm wrong, but like I could even if game script alone, and I know they technically had game script on their side last week, the Bengals, and that didn't do much for them. But yeah, I'm not going to write off Chase completely in this one. And then I agree on your points on Smith and definitely Pacheco. Pacheco is one of those guys at the moment that are probably borderline droppable. But this is about as easy a matchup as I think I've ever seen in fantasy for running backs. It's just a question if he going to be the one that benefits, or is it going to be like Brashard Smith or Kareem Hunt or something? I don't know. But I like Marion Hampton as well. I think that he's in a position to have a really good game against the Giants. I agree. And I think the Packers will have a decent day against Dallas. Even if Dallas made that game, I think the Packers can have a good score. For Ross's team, you're right. This whole game is boom and bust, and that's why I just see a bit more of a higher floor. I feel like on Freddie's side, because on paper, you look at Allen against New Orleans and you think, it's going to be a laugher. But then you kind of look at Sam Darnold last week, where he didn't really have to do much. And it's going to be exactly the same. And it's always that tricky aspect when you have a team that's so favoured and the Smasher team so good. It's like, is the quarterback actually going to be involved enough to get those points before he probably rides the pine for half a game? It's the tricky thing. And then beyond that, for Ross's team, if that does happen, Henry's sneakily not really been great the last couple of weeks. Flowers, again, same since that big week on. He's not done a lot. This profiles is the game for them both to do well, but it's not like the Ravens haven't been dropping points and those guys haven't been involved the last couple of weeks. Wilson's been very good, I'll say. He's probably one that I do quite like in this one, especially against that Dolphins defense. But yeah, I don't know. You're right. It's completely been a bust, and this makes this such a hard game to project. So I'm going to go with Freddie, but yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if either team win this one. Injury-wise, Tyrone Tracy has been ruled out already. He's been used up by Scatterboot. Anyway, and that is that. Our next game is the 0-3 Bowl. One of these teams must leave this. Well, I say that must leave with a win. They could somehow negotiate a ridiculous tie, but barring that, Ixan is projected to win this one 91 to 85. Burn assist, he does have the early lead, 20-0, courtesy of Kyler Murray. Lineup change wise, my dad's team is unchanged at the minute, so he's going with the 30 personnel. On the other side for Ixan, Jordan Addison comes into the starting lineup. Effectively for James Conner. Basically. And then I think beyond that, he's brought in Nick Chubb as well. In favour of Jerry Jeudy. He's dropped Jerry Jeudy to the bench. You're probably going to say it's long overdue, Chris. So he's going with the 30 personnel as well. Which one of these teams is going to win, Chris?
Oh, dear me. This here is the one. I was looking down the games earlier on and seeing what I was going to call. This one's the one that puzzles me the most because I think for Dave, if everybody's fit and healthy, there's absolutely no question about it. I've got no issues there. But Warren Hubbard, Brown, who's going to get game scripts again, it's just going to keep happening now. You've got to assume that Montgomery and Pittman come in at this point. If Xavier Worthy's fit, it's probably reasonable to assume he's coming in as well. I can only call it based on what I can see, and if that's the case, then I think I'd probably back Montgomery rather than Warren in any form, or even Brown in any form. But yeah, that they suck. Against the Minnesota D, New England's D, that's going to be hard work. I think Jefferson against Pittsburgh in Dublin's going to be hard work. Samuel with Marcus Mariota, who knows? 20 points is an all right score from QB, and Eagles D versus Tampa. It could be a high scoring, high powered game. So there's not really a lot to like. I had to say. Whilst Ben, for varying other reasons, still doesn't. Outside of Taylor and Williams, who will be running all over people, Addison, Johnson, and Chubb, all to me just like just no.
Johnston's been good, to be fair. I think you've actually got to say he's probably up there with the pickups of the season so far.
He's not done too bad, but justice for Jacoby Myers on the bench.
If there's a game to play Jacoby Myers, it's against this Bears secondary.
Yeah, but it doesn't thrill me.
Especially if him bringing Addison off reserve and putting him straight into the starting lineup over Jacoby Myers particularly. But I think he's probably the last person I would just take off and chuck in, because it's not like, Jefferson's not been great. What makes you think Addison's going to do well? Like Wentz, they spanked the Bengals last week, but it's Carson Wentz. We've seen what he has been for most of his career since he left Philadelphia. I get the Steelers. He hasn't been great either, but they actually do have a pretty good secondary. If they can sort of put it, it's just a really odd choice. Chucking Chubb in as well, I think, is a failure. Again, maybe you think it's a game script one where it makes sense because the Texans should be able to actually play with a lead maybe in this one, but I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. It's some odd choices between those two, certainly. Yeah,
and maybe we'll see this being right, but yeah. To me, it's that seems average as the day is long, and it's very difficult to be able to back it. Having said that, I think that Taylor and Williams, coupled with the Lions D, coupled with a bit of Johnston and a decent performance from Drake May, probably gets it over the line. Maybe, but if Dave changes some elements of his team, I would have gone with him. No questions asked. No questions asked. So if I saw a Montgomery and a Pittman in there, I'd probably go for it. So if assuming what I can see in front of me is going to be correct as of Sunday, it's probably going to be. Let's go with Dave.
Okay. I agree. It's extremely hard game to pick. I'm going to pick Ben's team despite hating him playing Addison and Chubb particularly. But Taylor could well be the RB1 at this point. I think it's fair to say. Yeah. Williams, again, he's the backup. Blake Corum's been working in, but still decent. May could have a very good day against the Panthers defense. I know they obviously shot down the Falcons last week, but I think there was something weird with the Falcons sort of doing that. Johnson, I think, is decent as well. So there's quite a bit to like for Ben's team, despite obviously both the records for both these teams, as there is for my dad's team as well. But like you said, I think certainly matchup-wise this week, it just doesn't. Profile is great. Jefferson hasn't lived up to the being, like you said. I'm okay with the Hubbard and Warren plays. They've both been pretty solid, so I think they should be. I don't like the Chase Brown one. I don't even know if Montgomery's necessarily the answer this week either, because again, tough run D. But yeah, like you say, you could bring Pittman in again. I don't mind not playing Worthy because we just don't know what that's going to look like coming back from the shoulder injury. But yeah, I just see a path to, or an easier path, shall we say, to a good week for Ben's team. And if he obviously puts in the likes of Myers and maybe Juwan Jennings if he plays, possibly even DJ Moore, this might be a good week for him against the Raiders over those couple that I don't like. Yeah, it should be fairly easy enough for Ben to win this one, I think. It concerns me neither of us have done a lock yet, Chris, so it looks like we're heading to a lock-off with the last game of the week, which is a spicy game, actually, because, 3-0 undefeated, the only undefeated team, Great Scott, against Pakistan, who could potentially use up them in division, or at least keep it interesting. Both teams have had players, 12-5. In favour of Great Scott, the 12 points is from Jason Myers, whereas the 5 is from Trey McBride from Pakistan. Jeff is projected to win 100-87, so a bit of a gap there. Lineup-wise, so for Great Scott, let's start there. He is unchanged. He's going with the 21 personnel, 2 running backs, tight end, 2 receivers. For Pakistan, he's going also with 21 personnel, 2 running backs, tight end, and 2 receivers. So very very much both of them in lockstep. Can Pat put an O in the L column for Jeff, Chris?
So Pat is as we know, Pat's teams are the great disruptors, and we've seen that in the past. So as a result, as he is a disruptor, and all of his skill positions are playing at home, and because actually I think it'd be all right, I'm going to lock Pat just for the juju, because I think that someone's got to try and beat Jeff, and I think that he may have a chance. The receiver stack this week is the one for me, I think, because we saw playing at home last time, they went for big numbers, and I think that might be the same again. Scaboo, as you mentioned, though it's a bit of a tough matchup this week, but he'll be needed. Yep. And if this is one game for Genty, let's go. And the Broncos D are going to ride all over Jake Browning, just all over. So I like it. I think Baker will be okay too. I think there's enough opportunity in that game that it could be a bit of a feisty one. On the other side, you can't knock the fact that Jeff's team's good. Herbert has been everything we wanted to be and more. Nakua, Dunze, both really interesting receivers and good matchups this week. McCaffrey and Kamara are workhorses. We'll see how much Kamara gets used after a certain point, but he seems to just fall into the end zone a bit at the moment. So fair. That's quite a nice habit to have. Tyler Warren. Hey, look, when you got this year's MVP thrown to you, never know. And the Patriots Carolina will be fine. So I think this would be a real scrappy one. I wouldn't be surprised if Jeff comes out winning. I know I'm not Pat, but yeah, I would fully expect Jeff to do really well with that team this week. And really, I've locked Pat for the vibes rather than anything else.
Yeah, well, I was. It's good. We're having a lock off, but I was going to lock Jeff anyway for a similar bad juju reason, because I was like, well, I lock him. He either wins and I get the lock, or hopefully I lock him and he loses. So there you go. It's in our interest for Jeff to lose. So that was my logic. But I do actually, if you were to ask me who I think more likely to pick this game, I would pick Jeff, which is interesting because we've differed on quite a few of the picks this week. But I'm going to tell you why. Because I do like Pat's team. It's just something this week, maybe. Just the Broncos is going to be fine. Dick is going to be fine. Scatboot is going to be decent. It's not the best of matchups. Obviously, new quarterback, not ideal as well, but he's getting the volume, so it doesn't matter. Genty's the one. He has been a mega bust so far. I don't think it's... Yeah. I think he had an okay score in week one, but it's not been pretty for Genty. I get the Bears D isn't great, but I just don't see really what's going to change based on what we've seen so far. You're right with the Lions receivers. Like, one of them's probably guaranteed to have a good game, but I just question if both of them are going to have a good game. In theory, the pass defense, I think, like we saw with the Ravens, is probably easier to attack, obviously, than the run D. And like you say, being at home, that may be where they go. So they absolutely both could have a good game. We saw that in week 2 as well with both of them. And then Baker, I agree, he could have a good game. I don't know. I'm so worried about how healthy he is, and obviously being down Mike Evans and stuff. It wouldn't surprise me if he did have a good game, but some worry there on that side. Whereas I have no worry against with Jeff's team. Tyler Warren is the only weak spot in that starting lineup, and he's been solidly doing upper single digits, I think, basically all season. That's not bad for your worst player. I would say almost every player on that team is guaranteed to have double digits. Whereas I don't feel like I can say the same about the other side on Pat. So it felt like quite an easy lock for me anyway. This could be a very emphatic 4-0 for Jeff after this week. So that's all I got. Injury-wise, Evans has already obviously been ruled out with that hamstring injury. Justin Fields is back. Pat has added him. I do wonder if he'll play him over Baker, actually, given that he's now... been cleared to return. Baker questionable. I think it's a biceps injury. I didn't do the injuries in the last game, and somebody just dovetail back and do that. Hubbard and Warren both dealing with injuries. As I said, with Warren, it's a knee thing, but it sounds like he's going to play. Jennings, I think, is ankle, shoulder, or something. He's very questionable, I would say. Whether he's going to play, don't know if there's anything we're telling him, but that's that. Oh, and Jaden Daniels has already been ruled out for my dad, but he played Murray. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode, Chris. So, if you would like to watch the games at mine on Sunday, again, you're welcome to do so. last time you're going to be able to for a few weeks because I will be going to the London Games. Thank you for joining us again, Chris.
Good to be here. Glad to come. Hopefully, you all do well, except you play Nate, of course.
Absolutely. Stole my line, yeah. Have a good weekend, everybody. Oh, rest of your weekend, I should say. Best of luck in your matchups, unless you're playing me, of course. Like Chris said, goodbye, everyone.